pretty. See, I was born and raised in the slums of a city. It was a one-room shack that slept in other children beside me. We hardly had enough food or room to sleep. It was hard time. Needed something to eat my trouble man. Listen, my father didn't know.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Ramona Davis. I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Beta Omega Chapter, and I'm also the chairman of our Arts Committee. I'd like to thank you for joining us for our May Brunch and Learn series, Arts and Healing, dealing with COVID-19, racial unjust, and stress. Before I go any further, a bit of housekeeping. Please continue to keep your audio on the mute position as well as your video, making sure that it is off so that we can uh, be focused on our panelists and our moderator. Thank you. And if you have any questions, be sure to put those in the chat if you're joining us via Zoom, or if you're on Facebook Live, be sure to post it and I will tend to it as soon as possible. Before I go any further, at this time, I'd like to have our Vice President of Beta Omega Chapter, Elonia Norwood, to offer a few words.
Good morning. Greetings from Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated's Beta Omega Chapter. I'm Elonia Norwood, First Vice President. Since our chartering in 1920, our members have proudly served Kansas City with passion, talent, and strength. As we embrace our international program, exemplifying excellence through sustainable service, Beta Omega is determined to elevate our community as only Alpha Kappa Alpha women can. As we continue to be of service to all mankind, Beta Omega is committed to forging meaningful relationships with our local partners. Our programs range from health and nutrition to financial planning, global awareness, scholarships, the arts, and of course, the debutante ball. They are uniquely suited to our community's diverse needs. Our members are willing and eager to share our passion for service. We are grateful for your support and thank you for attending this special brunch and learn event hosted by the Arts Program. Thank you to the Arts Committee for planning this innovative event. Thank you to all our fabulous panelists for sharing your knowledge and talent with us. Whether you are a member of AKA or a part of the Kansas City community, we invite you to fully engage in this event. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Elonia Norwood. I would also like to take a moment to say thank you to our tech support. Carmen Gooch is also a member of Beta Omega Chapter, and she's also our technology chairman. And as well, I'd like to say thank you again to our panelists, Ollie Robinson, Clarissa Knighton, Kayla Hansley, Sherry Purpose Hall, and our moderator, Glenn North. And speaking of Mr. Glenn North, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about Mr. North. And I'm sorry, by the way, I wanted to say too that we are in partnership with the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center. So thank you again for partnering with us on this event. Glenn North, he is an award-winning poet, activist, educator, arts executive based in Kansas City. He is currently the executive director of Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center. He has previously served at the American Jazz Museum, as well as the Black Archives of Kansas City, Mid-America. Glenn has earned his MFA from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. His thesis was entitled Pro-Black Prosody. And in addition to presenting poetry, Glenn also conducts workshops in, I'm going to mess up this word, ekphrasiastic poetry. Glenn will correct me later. He uses poetry to address issues of social justice and self-empowerment for the disenfranchised students through reflective poetry. So without further ado, we're going to start our program, and I'm going to hand it over to Glenn North. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramona. The word is ekphrastic, and it's just a style of poetry that is written in response to art or a visual image. But I am so excited to be here. This is such an important conversation, and I just wanted to provide a little context before we hear from our panelists. So the Beta Omega chapter of AKA has been looking at the Harlem Renaissance, looking at the Black arts movement, specifically with the series of programs. And I just wanted to briefly touch upon the significance of both of those movements. The Harlem Renaissance, which was primarily in the 20s and 30s, was a cultural movement, literature, visual arts, dance. But the thrust of it, when you do the research, was an attempt by artists like Langston Hughes and Aaron Douglas and Duke Ellington to demonstrate, particularly to white America, that Black people were capable of producing high art. The thought was that if we show them our genius and our talent in these various disciplines, then they will inevitably have to see us as human beings. And so it was very important, a very important movement, and I think it was successful on a lot of fronts. Obviously, we were still combating racism, but I think that the Harlem Renaissance really provided a step forward using the arts as a vehicle for social justice. Later, in the 60s and 70s, we then had the Black arts movement, which was largely spearheaded by Amiri Baraka, but you have folks like Sonia Sanchez and James Baldwin who were part of that movement. And the Black arts movement was a shift in that artists were no longer concerned with how white people perceive Black people. It was more about revolutionary thought. It was more about developing our own aesthetic as it pertained to art, not using a European paradigm to decide how we created our work. And so that really kind of laid the foundation for the Black Power movement. It was instrumental in the proliferation of Black studies programs throughout the country. So it was very important. And both of those movements really use jazz music in particular as a way to also kind of celebrate the Black experience. You also have folks like Gil Scott-Heron, the Last Poets, who really laid the foundation for what we now refer to as rap music or hip hop. With their spoken word, with musical accompaniment, it was just an incredible time. But while those things I think had a very real effect on our culture and on our well-being, today's discussion, we want to hone in a little bit more on the importance of self-care. As Ramona mentioned, we are living in the midst of a pandemic, so feelings of isolation and loneliness are increased. The racial unrest in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and that list goes on and on, unfortunately, has created just this angst. And so we really wanted to think about how the arts can be used in a way to help us heal. And so I just wanted to offer a brief explanation coming from the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health, that they did a series of research projects, incorporated all these different methodologies across a range of disciplines to really try to provide empirical evidence of the benefit of the arts in healing. And so I won't get into all the scientific language. A lot of those words I couldn't pronounce, but the conclusion read as follows: use of the arts in healing does not contradict the medical view in bringing emotional, somatic, artistic, and spiritual dimensions to learning. Rather, it complements the biomedical view by focusing not only on sickness and symptoms themselves, but the holistic nature of the person. When people are invited to work with creative and artistic processes that affect more than their identity with illness, they are more able to create congruence between their affective states and their conceptual sense making. Through creativity and imagination, we find our identity and our reservoir of healing. The more we understand the relationship between creative expression and healing, the more we will discover the healing power of the arts. So having said that, I would now like to give our panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves and to tell us what it is that they do as it pertains to the arts. And I would like to start with Clarissa Knighton.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Clarissa Knighton. I am the owner of Rissa's Artistic Design. I have been designing jewelry for 14 years, a full-time designer for the last 4 years. And through creating jewelry, it has helped me to deal with clinical depression and bulimia both. Thank you for having me.
And we'll go now to Kayla Hensley.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am an artist. I am also an art teacher. I'm a seamstress, and I'm also a doula. And through my art, I just bring expression to things that we feel and also just our day-to-day life.
I'm sorry, Kayla, for those who might not know, what is a doula?
A doula is someone who assists in natural birth. So if a mom wants to go through the process of birth naturally, they will hire a doula to help them with pain control and things of that nature.
Thank you. All right, Sherry Purpose Hall.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sherry Purpose Hall. I am a literary performance artist, also known as spoken word. Sometimes we just break down literary and performance art so people know exactly what they're getting. I'm also the executive director of Poetry for Personal Power, where we focus on arts and mental health, and the founder of Easter Red Art House, looking towards providing arts and sustainability for people in underserved areas.
All right, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Ali Robinson.
Good morning, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. I am the executive director for the Kansas City Boys Choir and have been for the last 26 years. I'm also the director and founder of the Kansas City Girls Choir, which started in 2006. So the last 15 years, I've been with them. So that's what we do. We spread music all around, and all types of music from A to Z, all genres. We go all the way back and we go all the way forward. We write original songs and we do a lot of different compositions, and the music certainly helps the kids. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we start with you, Ali, and we'll work our way around. We really just want to have a conversation, but I was just curious, when were you first introduced to the arts? Some of your earliest memories of your exposure to art?
Wow, my earliest was, I was maybe 10 or 11. My uncle left and moved to Denver. Couldn't take a piano with him, left it at our home. And so I sat down, and that's when I started playing. I've had no professional formal music training. I had a little bit, but when the professor asked me, said, play this song, and I started playing it, he knew I learned it by ear. He said, yeah, that's a little different. So, but that's when the music started for me. And I got the bug, and it hasn't stopped ever since. So I write my own music. I write a lot of music, and I encourage people to write. And even on my albums and I'm dating myself, on my CD.
I still call them albums too. It's
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of the music is original.
Yeah. So Ali, you're saying you saw your uncle play and then just kind of watched him and then taught yourself basically?
No, he didn't play. He just left the piano in our home.
I got you.
I
Okay.
couldn't take it, so I just thought, well, why don't I just play some? So with these 3 fingers, I started, just playing and plucking.
Wow.
My siblings were my choir, obviously. And, they had to sing.
Yeah.
There was no question about it. They had to sing. They had to be in my choir or either be an usher or something in the church.
Wow.
in that one little room. So that's where it started. It's called the bug.
Okay.
And from there it moved on.
Wonderful. That is so impressive that you taught yourself. What about you, Kayla? What was your introduction to the arts?
So my introduction to the arts was definitely when I was younger, maybe about 10 as well, just kind of drawn in my notebook, not having anything else to do, and found joy in that and just continued to do it. That's probably definitely my first introduction. And then in my adulthood, after finishing school, I just kind of fell back into it. Just like Mr. Ali, I didn't have like any professional assistance with learning how to draw or how to paint or how to do digital art. I taught myself, and I just found joy in that.
Wow. So interesting. What about you, Clarissa?
So my mother is a seamstress. She's tailor-made men's suits for many, many years. But when we were living in the Philippines, she sketched a lot. And so I was introduced through her sketching and being a seamstress. And then there's a lot of culinary arts in my family. So all of my siblings are artistic in some form or another.
Okay. All right. And when did you first get interested in making jewelry?
So when I started it 14 years ago, because I battled with depression, I used my sketches for therapy with my counselor and my therapist, and he wanted me to do something different with my hands. Thus, jewelry was born at that time because he didn't want. We were using the sketches to get me through what I was dealing with, and wanted me to do. I have to move my hands. Just now, as we are talking and dialoguing right now, I'm actually writing because my hands tend to have to move at all times.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Sherry, how did you get started with the arts in general and then poetry in particular?
So with regards to the arts, I don't know as a little kid that I knew I was involved in the arts. Had no idea. It was just there. I had a teacher in kindergarten, Miss Counts. And when you first come in her class, she sings in Swahili and she says, Jambo. That is like one of my best memories, and just being able to be taught through song.
Where were you in kindergarten? I'm sorry, what school was this?
I was in Phyllis Wheatley.
Okay.
I was in Phyllis Wheatley. I was always in church. My mother was also a seamstress, and she and I would go over to Miss Weatherby's house to help her do weddings. So we would hand put thousands of little sequins and things on trains and stuff like that. And we were broke. So I learned how real quick with thrift shops and thrift stores, how to take something and make it into what I wanted it to be. There was always a sewing machine in the house. My mom let me have power tools and stuff at a really young age. Wow. So I'm like 8 years old, building and hammering and taking apart phones and trying not to get in trouble for setting fires. Just stuff like this. And so I've always been really artsy. I just didn't know, that this was art. I just thought it's what you do. I just thought it was there. And in writing, I started writing through grief. The first poem I wrote was when my grandfather died. That was the man in my life. And I was 7 when he passed away. So poetry has always been a form of catharsis for me. But I didn't start actually really performing, like taking it seriously, until the anniversary of the father of my children's death, which was 2006. So finding my healing in the arts has been a process, but the arts have just always been there. And as a little kid, just like as a little kid, you don't know that you're broke. I didn't know I was doing arts either. I was just living.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for that, Sherry. You know, Clarissa has already alluded to it, but I would like to find out from each of you a specific instance where art provided you with comfort or healing. Clarissa, we could start with you if you wanted to dive a little bit deeper, but I would like to hear from each of you, like a specific instance where you can identify art as being a healing agent.
Absolutely. For me, I didn't realize that I had it in me, that I had the art in me. It was just what I did. It was just what I did to find my voice. For so many years, I felt as if my voice was not strong. I didn't know how to articulate what I was feeling. So by that, I didn't have jewelry back then. I had my sketches back then, or I had gardening as a child. We would garden a lot, again, growing our own vegetables. And I found joy in using my hands. I found joy in touching things and just that movement. So when you're a child and your family is not aware of, I mean, I was born in 1968, so depression in kids wasn't commonly talked about. So for me, I just, again, I identify my hand movement and that need. It was
Yes,
that need
yes.
made me feel better. Whatever it was at that particular time, it just evolved over time to jewelry. But again, like I said, prior to that, it was the gardening. It was helping my mother hem a garment. Whatever it was, it made me feel better. And I recognized that that was something that I needed. And I listened to Sherry talk about poetry, and you talk about poetry. I wish that I was a poet. I wish
You
I could.
know what? You can, and you are. I would argue that all of us have poetry within us, but we'll have that conversation later. But go ahead.
But no, that's just, again, finding, we all have to find our voice, whatever it be, through painting or through teaching children. We all have a voice, and just finding that voice helps you to navigate through these waters of today.
Absolutely. What about you, Ali? Do you have a specific instance that you can recall where you were struggling or even physically ill and art in some way helped you?
Yeah, when I think of art, I'm thinking of music, obviously. And of course, you know, you're talking about being a poet, but I think every song that I have written and most of the songs that the choir performs came out of something. It just wasn't, we're going to write a song. It came out of when my baby sister passed. I was in California. I penned a song and I thought it was just for me, but it was obviously the choir was able to sing it. When we went through the AIDS epidemic, I was serving on the board at Good Samaritan, and they said, hey, we need you to commission you to write the song, and it's the song Hope for Tomorrow, and it's one of their favorite songs, and they love it. And so the songs that I sing were written out of some type of birth. They were birthed out of some type of incident to heal me, to heal somebody else, but they were songs of healing, and they bring forth just a great experience and a good feeling. I always want people to feel something. I don't want people to say, "Oh, that was good. You were good." I don't want it to be good. I want it I want another emotion to come out of that Dogs are good. Cake is good. Food.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
I
I
hear
want
you.
another emotion to be emoted. So
Yeah, thank you for that. Kayla, how about you?
Arts has helped me in several different ways. I mentioned earlier that I'm a seamstress, and I started a business called Back Naked where I sold head wraps, like the one that's on my head now.
Mhm.
I was going through a phase of just trying to find myself. We were right in that motion where we wanted to be done with chemicals on our hair. We wanted to wear our natural hair in my generation, and I created Back Naked as giving visual to the process of stripping yourself of anything that's in the way of you being who you truly are. So
Mhm.
my head wraps really helped me find myself, really helped me express myself in that way. When it comes to art, when I started digital art, because I just recently started digital art about a year and a half ago, we were in COVID. So it was like, here you are alone. What are you gonna do? Like, how can you create something new and give to yourself in this moment? So going into digital art and being able to express myself in that way, especially during COVID, and just having a new means of expressing myself, art definitely helped me through the pandemic and helped me through quarantine because I wasn't alone. I was with my art. I was learning something new. And that's how it helped me.
Thank you so much. All right, Sherry, how about you?
So people may not know this, but a lot of times poets are multidisciplinary, right? I am a crafter. I work with paint, um, fabric, papers, collage, different stuff. Um, and when the words won't come out, or I can't, I've had a moment where I just shut down and all I can do is stare straight forward. I need to use my hands. Um, and I'm strange, well, not strange. My mother comes from the generation of, we call them hoarders now, but they keep everything they ever had. My mom will tell you, I had this Tupperware since before you were born. I'm like, Mom, that's the problem. That's neither nor there. So when I moved into the house that I'm in now was 2016, I believe. I had a black piggy bank that the kids weren't supposed to touch. It was full of change, and boom, it broke. The hoarder me kept every piece of that because I had a plan. Things break in my house. I have right now, places that are broken, like I got a plan, it's going to happen. I kept it. I'm going to say it took about 3 years before I was hit one of those moments where I'm going to pick this thing up and start putting it back together and watch Spike Lee right now. And we're going to paint the cracks gold. And that is art for me. It's not just the poetry or the voice or the performance, but it's very tactile. It doesn't have to be on display. That is healing for me. Sometimes just to use my hand and not my brain. Because as a poet and as an administrator, sometimes I just need to shut it off. Just
I totally understand that. I totally do. So now, most of you in some capacity work with young people. I think I'll start with you, Ali. And one of the things, just from my observation, that I think you do a great job with the choir is exposing the students to different experiences that they may not have otherwise been exposed to had they not been involved. So I see that as a great benefit, but what other things have you noticed in terms of the overall growth, health, the sense of well-being of the students that you come into contact with as a result of them being in the choir?
well, I don't know where they come from, but they're amazing young people. They have great ideas, and they know that a lot of songs we write because sometimes they're in the writing process as we're writing a song. And so then they start telling me that they're trying to write a song. And I say, okay, that's good. And a lot of them are young entrepreneurs and they want to do something else. They get into garage band and the editing and things of that nature. So, and especially during the COVID time, they since then we have come back together on occasions, and they've been telling me what they've been doing. So, but these kids, they have to, every song that they learn, they have to know where it came from, who wrote it, why it was written, what was the author's intent when he wrote this song. So we go through that. So they don't just sing a lot of songs that they like and they don't have a clue who wrote it, why it was written, when it was written. You know, like the one song, and I can't think of her name just right off the bat, but we have to, I mean, every song that they perform, they should be able to tell you, and you should be able to ask them. So the next time they perform, you ask them, who wrote that? Where did it come from? What was the author trying to say when you wrote this? Because that's the dialogue that we have in our rehearsal hall when they're learning the song. So,
Right.
and like I said, they're amazing young people. So they have to learn it, not just a song, but where it came from and what it's all about. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Because the song is going to mean something different to every last one of them. And so I ask them individually, what does this song mean to you? And what does it mean to you? So we go through that.
Yeah, I can imagine that opens the door for a lot of conversations to really get inside how they're thinking and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, what they might be struggling with and any number of things.
Yeah, and many of them are, you know, and my phone number is really off limits to them, but some kind of way they managed a couple of them to get my number and call me. Hey, Mr. Ali, one little girl called and just frantic, in tears, and I said, you got to calm down, baby. I don't know who this is. Is your who? You got to tell me that. So she told me her name was. Then she said, I need help. So she was struggling. You know, she's a very smart young girl. She wants to do this and she wants to do that. But, you know, sometimes parents don't really understand what their kids really, really, really want to do and how they want to move. Because a lot of them want to take off and move into a different direction. And so it's important. And I'm glad I'm part of that village. So I can say, I can help them redirect. You know, as long as they're not trying to commit anything to themselves, bodily harm or anything like that, I try to keep it between me and them so they know that they can trust me. It's between me and you. So, but they struggle a lot. And this music, I'm telling you, this music is so helpful to them. They've got, Mr. Ali, when are we gonna come back? When are we gonna start rehearsing again? We need to rehearse. I said, well, right now the board is saying, let's just hold off. We need to wait. We need to do something different. But they want to get together. And it's much more than music. They are friends. They have developed friendships. They developed lasting friendships by being a part of the choir. Some of them didn't have friends at all. The mother said, I don't know how you got him to talk because he don't talk at home. Well, he's got friends now. And so now he's talking. Now he wants to be with his friends. I want to go to rehearsal. Mr. Ali said, she said, sometimes I'm sick of him coming home because all he says is, Mr. Ali said, Mr. Ali said, Mr. Ali said. So it becomes one of those kind of things, which makes me feel good, you know, because I'm glad he's listening and I'm glad he's going to another level. So that's what it's all about. It's changing them. You know, it's a complete change in those kids. And you can see that when they perform.
Yeah, for sure. So this is what I'd like to do. Sherry, I know you've done a lot of work with young people. I'd like to hear, you know, what you've witnessed and observed in terms of how students are benefiting from the arts. And then I would like to go to Kayla. In the interest of transparency, as Ramona said, I am the director here at Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center. And there are some of my fellow employees from the Parks Department at the door. So I'm gonna run and open the door for them right quick, and I'll be right back. We'll start with Sherry, we'll go to Kayla, and I'll be right back.
As far as my experience with children, I have seen them do so much. When you step in and come in to do the poetry workshop or the spoken word workshop, what you're actually teaching is effective communications. So I've watched children effectively communicate their feelings, effectively access their feelings and deal with tough conversations. It helps for anybody out there that's listening. If you say, hey, I want someone to come in and look, I need you to really take to heart what you're asking for and who you're bringing in, because you also need people there who are qualified in case that child or person, even adult, access is something that they're not really able to handle or deal with. Because I have witnessed that as well. And that's okay. That's a part of the process. I tell people all the time, like, I'm a poet. Okay, did you edit? because editing is the healing process. The first part is the word vomit. The second part is the editing and coming back and looking at the story. I also tell people that history is not made by the winners, it's made by the publishers. So when you put your story out there and you own your narrative, you get to be the one in control, no matter how many people see it or even if it's just you. Another thing that I do with regards to poetry and healing, and especially the youth, they love it, is burning. Let's write it and burn it up. Let's watch it. It's catharsis. It's watching it go up in flames. Write all the bad things people told you about yourself. Make art out of it and watch it go up in flames to never exist anymore. And then let's make s'mores and dance around the fire afterwards. Like it's a whole gathering. It doesn't have to ever just be one thing. But I think youth are really healed just by learning how to effectively communicate and manage emotions in whatever form it is.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. Lighten it up. Okay, watch it go. So so I deal with kindergarten through 8th grade students. So I have like this wide range of generations and you know, it just in one place. I tell my kids all the time, art is a good time to turn your day around. At my school, I work at Genesis Charter School. A lot of our kids come from rough backgrounds. They're acting out, and you have to ask yourself, did they eat? Did they sleep good last night? You know what I mean? You really have to be patient and sensitive to whatever it is that they may have been going through that you're unaware of. So even before the pandemic, I always tried to use art to make sure that they could express themselves without judgment. I tell them all the time, do not be afraid to make mistakes. Make those mistakes. That's what you need. If I didn't make my mistakes, I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't be your art teacher. So please make those mistakes and own them. Be confident in them. After the pandemic, when we all came back together, I really tried to get them to express how the pandemic made them feel. Me and one of our counselors came together and we did like a water painting, and we just asked them to use color to express how you felt during the pandemic. And the pieces that came out of it was truly amazing. Some of them were really bright, where they were like, I got time to sleep. I got time to enjoy my siblings. My mom was home, you know, and that was a good. And then there were some that were really dark, and it was, I lost a family member, or my mom lost her job, or just whatever it is that they were going through. So just using art for them to really be able to, just like you said, Sherry, just access those feelings and express it and put it on paper and look at it and put it up and let other people see it and tell other people how you were feeling. Most of the time we keep everything in, and I try to use art for them to share with even their peers what I went through and how I got over it, because you need that interaction with each other. So yeah, art really does benefit them in what they have gone through.
Can
Now,
I add?
Clarissa, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ali, go ahead.
I was just going to add this. Sherry had said something that sparked me, because both Glenn and Sherry were guests at our event at one of our concerts, and the kids came back, and obviously what they want to do now, they want to write. I said, so you guys got to decide. I said, if you write something, you have to provide music with it. It's either going to be a song, or it's either going to be a feeling from the writing, that the spoken word. There's music that goes with everything, because just like you guys probably know that certain music will go with your spoken word and just flow like it was supposed to be that way. And a lot of times it's not going to be that same way. It's just spoken word and that's it. But yeah, so now so the more you introduce them to things, the more they want to do something. So some of them want to be a writer. So, okay, you can write poetry or you can write a song. Tell me what you want to do. So that came up as soon as you said that. I thought, oh, wow, yeah, because they want to be writers also, so they're very spongy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you shared that, Ali.
Absolutely.
Clarissa, I don't know if you work with young people, but if I'm not mistaken, you have done some work with the elderly. Would you like to talk about your experiences in those spaces?
Sure, absolutely. I have worked with young children as well. I've worked with middle school students. And in working with middle school students, one of the things that I did when we created, I'll say we were creating bracelets, they could not make it and keep it for themselves. They had to think of someone or think of it in a way that I'm going to create this and then I'm going to give it away. And you were to, I asked them to find someone, it could be a teacher, a fellow student, a family member, but create it and give it to them and then tell them why you gave it to them. What was it about them, whether they helped them through a situation or they have provided something for them, or they were just, really thinking of them, because you never know what someone's going through. So that project, we did it in essence of give it away. Give it away and then have a dialogue. I worked with seniors, is what you're referring to, and they had to be 65 and up. So they were in my class. I was teaching them how to make jewelry. My oldest student was 91. And this was the second time that I had actually taught. And what was different was you see a new spark, a spark that they had forgotten about or that they're learning something new. And every week when we came in, they were bringing me stuff, because I told them, I had supplies, but I also said, bring buttons from home, bring old jewelry, let's break it apart and create something new. And that just told me that our seniors are forgotten about. Our seniors, we need to love and respect our elders and realize that they're still learning things too. They want to know, they want to be that sponge, just like a child is a sponge. So when I interact with people, I love seniors. And when I interact with them, I'm always coming up with some type of dialogue to, tell me about your art past. Well, I'm not artistic. Sure you are. There's something artistic. So you start digging and next thing you know, they're just talking nonstop. So I would say all of us, when you come into contact with a senior or a small child 4 years old, there's something that we can say to encourage them that their, especially children, that their parent can't reach them on. Like Mr. Ali was saying, he has that rapport with his students that they will come to him, and that's what we want. But we also know and recognize, I've had to say to students, if this is something that's going to cause harm, I have a responsibility to get you some assistance. And we find that they're okay with that. Seniors, the same way. Seniors, especially some of my seniors were dealing with dementia. And if it was something that I thought was going to cause harm, or I saw a pattern that it was getting worse, I have a responsibility. And they were okay with that.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Clarissa. And I appreciate the work that you're doing with seniors. That is so important. As an arts educator myself, I did want to share a memory that I had as I was thinking about this conversation. I, years ago, was the director of the Urban Transcendence Poetry Project, which was centered in Kansas City, Kansas, with the USD 500 school district. And Kansas City had several different venues, as it does today, where poetry was being performed at the time. And I went to a venue that was 21 and over, and I saw this young lady perform this poem that was just phenomenal. And I wanted to invite her to a poetry reading that I was hosting at the Blue Room at the time. And as I entered into a conversation with her, I found out she was only 16 years old and really had no business being in that venue in the first place. But I was also, as I said, the director of the Urban Transcendence Poetry Project. So I invited her to come and participate in that. I found out that she had a history of violence, that she had been expelled from several schools. At the time I'd caught up with her, she was at Schlegel. So she came to the first meeting, immediately hit it off with the other young people who were in the program, began writing poems that focused on some of the situations that she was confronting, was able to release a lot of that anger on the page and then perform it out on the stage, in that we had this kind of a culminating event at the end of the year called Bringing the Heat. And all the students got to perform their poems, and their parents and the community came out. And after that performance, her mother came over just in tears, and she just hugged me and she said, I want to thank you for saving my daughter's life. And she meant that very sincerely, not just, very humbly, just, thank God that I was in the right place at the right time and was able to give her an opportunity to move in a different direction. She's grown now, 2 kids, living a very happy life. And that's just one of the examples. I've seen so many, but as I was preparing for this conversation, I just kind of reflected back on that and was just kind of brought a smile to my face. But when we started the conversation, we talked about self-care. And I think we all kind of intuitively know what self-care is, but I'll just give you the World Health Organization's definition. And self-care is the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without the support of a healthcare provider. According to this definition, self-care includes everything related to staying physically healthy, including hygiene, nutrition, and seeking medical care when needed. It's all the steps an individual can take to manage stressors in his or her life and take care of his or her own health, and well-being. So I just wanted to do a round robin and have you all share with us how you are you taking care of yourself? Like, maybe that's a legitimate question, and if so, what are some of the things that you employ as it pertains to self-care? And I'll start with Kayla.
I would say that I am taking care of myself, and very intentionally. So I think that's really big in self-care, is being intentional. I'm a dietary manager on my doula side, and one thing I tell my clients all the time is, if you're consciously aware of what you're putting in your body, you're going to consciously be aware of how you feel, and consciously be aware of how you think after you put those things in your body. So through nutrition and through art, also telling my kids to be intentional in their art. So if you are aware of what you're putting down, and you have tapped into what you're putting down, then you can heal. That'll become part of the self-love and the self-care of it all. Just real quick, Clarissa has said about the older who were saying that they are not artistic. Same thing with children. You want to teach them how to draw something, they're like, I can't draw. What do you mean I can't draw? And so I always try to show them pieces of art that they would never think would be sold for thousands of dollars. Like that was $1,000 piece right there. So just using just your feelings for self-care. And sometimes we're afraid to tap into our feelings, but you have to feel it. You have to go through it, and you're not going to get through it until you feel it. So just being intentional in self-care.
Yeah, I've heard people say the only way around is through. And I think as you continue to avoid things, it does increase the stress, because you got these unresolved issues.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. What about you, Ali? What do you do for self-care?
Well, that's very interesting, because I that's a great word, Kayla, intentional, because for about 3 months, nothing, cook what you want to cook, eat what you want to eat, don't do nothing, don't comb your hair, don't just brush it back, let it grow, don't shave, don't do, you're not going anywhere. So what difference does it make? Nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to smell you. You're not going to be that close to anybody. But something in me switched just a couple of months or so. Some months ago. So my workout regimen has changed. So I don't have to go to the gym. I can walk. So that's what I do. That's what I've been doing. I do my own stuff. It's free. And now I have, of course, my pianos. I have my pianos in different rooms. I can put my headsets on and I can just write and play. And thank God I can play, because that certainly provides some type of exercise and it provides some type of healing for me. And that is very, very, very important. So that's what I've been doing. I just had to be intentional about it and say, you know what? I've got to make a difference. I've got to make a difference, because people are still looking at you and people still expect you to come out. Can you come to the funeral? Can you come to the wedding? Can you come sing? Can you sing on Zoom? So they're looking at you like, oh, wow. But I also want to piggyback off of something Clarissa said. I'm going back to the seniors again. That is so much fun, being around those older people, because the choirs, before a long time ago, we were going into nursing homes. We were able to do that. And the music inspires them beyond degree. You just wouldn't believe, they're glad you're there, except for when they start saying, do you guys know Golden Slippers? Well, we'll try to learn that for next time.
I hear you. Well, that's kind of, I think that's really special in that there's this intergenerational thing that's happening, right? And as Clarissa mentioned, just our culture doesn't honor seniors and the elderly like a lot of other, I'll say American culture. I know African culture, that's very much a part of honoring but so I think that gives them a sense of that, and I know it does wonders for the seniors. So I love that you shared that. Yeah. All right. Clarissa, you share so much in terms of you talked about the seniors and things like that, and I know that you're going to therapy. Are there other things that you do in terms of self-care?
Absolutely. I love what Kayla said about being intentional. Sometimes we forget to, especially during COVID, we forget to take a shower because you're only going to be at home. We forget to shave our head. I shave my head twice a week, and I didn't do that. So one of the things that I do to help me when I'm not in such a great place is I set alarms, and the alarm might say, yum, 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 it's time to eat. Because you eat when you get immersed in whatever it is going on in your life, you forget the basics. So I set reminders on my phone to eat, or to my watch goes off at 10 minutes till the hour. That reminds me to get up and run up the stairs and come back down to get some type of movement. But I enjoy walking. I enjoy journaling. I enjoy, for me, because I now do jewelry full time as my profession, I've had to find another form of art for my relaxation.
Okay.
So my sister is teaching me hand stitching. So for Mother's Day, I hand stitched on a piece of fabric and put it in a frame for my mother. My mother's about to turn 80. And in the card, I handmade her a card as well. And I found I really like making cards. I like hand stitching. And in that card, I thanked her and I said, this has taken me back to my childhood, because as a little kid, you don't have any money. So you're doing a craft and give your mom a craft for Mother's Day. So I'm finding that I'm having to learn a different form of relaxation. So I'm curious to know from my panelist peers here, you have your poetry, but what else is it that you do for your self-care, for your relaxation? Do you do something different from your everyday?
It's so interesting that you would say that. When you mentioned how because jewelry making has become your profession, you had to find another creative outlet. I have been so blessed in that I get a lot of commissioned work. And by commissioned work, I mean people seek me out to write poems for specific occasions. I am in the midst of right now 6 commissioned poems, and it becomes work, quite frankly. And one of the it's such a blessing. A lot of people are not, you don't see a lot of rich poets running around, right? So the fact that I can generate revenue from doing that, I consider that to be a blessing. But it really has made it difficult at times for me to find the space to write the poems that I want to write, to tap into what it is that I want to contribute to the larger conversation that's going on in contemporary poetry. And so I find that reading the work of other poets is just an incredible outlet, and because I love poetry, so if I get kind of sick of writing it, reading other people's work that I admire, it serves 2 purposes. It gets me out of my own head, and it gives me an opportunity to learn an appreciation for the art again. And then I steal some of that stuff from my own poems, and so it helps in that way too. Sherry, I don't think we got to you in terms of self-care, but I think Clarissa posed a good question in that other than poetry, what are your creative outlets as well?
For me, looking at things, well, one, self-care. Self-care sneaks up on me. I have a great group of accountability sistren and brethren that, have you eaten, have you this, that, and the other, but still there hits those moments where I look around, it's like, okay, a depressed person lives here. So part of the self-care is even cleaning. I get overstimulated if there's just too much. So I have to clear the clutter. And one of the, I like to enjoy other arts. I already talked about how before sometimes I'm like really hands-on and I can paint, do sculpting, molding, different things like that. But other than that, I'm going to enjoy some arts. I'm going to ride around. I'm going to listen to music, and be in my own bubble for a minute. Because sometimes I am a true to form introvert, right? Don't let this successful extroverted presence fool you. I'm good at networking. I'm good at being around. If I trust someone in the environment, I can actually be me, right? But still, even being around a lot of people is exhausting. It is a drain, and I have to recharge. So having that time to be able to be in my own bubble is huge. I know for when COVID hit, before that, I was doing a regular exercise regimen. I was getting up every morning. I was about up to 3/4 of a mile on the elliptical and doing weight training and different things like that. Great, wonderful. COVID hits. I send everybody home. I go home. I'm in front of the computer 14 to 16 hours a day, writing grants, writing scientific work, papers, all this. And I lost it all, like just my whole regimen routine gone. One day I pretty much flipped out, jumped up and started turning up the whole yard. And then I had a garden because I had to get my hands in the dirt. Like just jumped up and started flipping things over. This year, it's not the garden. This year may be something else. I don't know. I allow myself to figure out what I need at that time. And I don't have to always go back to the same thing, but I know that there are multiple things at my disposal. We just pray with my accountability partners that I don't have to flip out and start flipping up all the dirt in the front yard, but it did yield good food. It did.
Well, good. I'm so glad to hear that. I am going to call an audible here in that Clarissa has another engagement. Our next question is, can art heal America? So Clarissa, in a minute, can you tell us how art can heal America before you have to sign off?
Absolutely. For me, I think that as long as we are actively engaging some form of art, um, that's a hard question. Honestly, transparently, it's a very hard question because you have to be willing to be vulnerable, willing to be transparent, and recognize that what if I am prejudiced? And prejudice comes in all forms. I might be prejudiced towards someone that's darker than me, or prejudiced because whatever the case is. So you have to be willing to be vulnerable and want to change. And if you want to change, then it will heal America because art is everywhere you look, and you determine what art is. I recently saw in a museum, I saw a bird cage with a TV screen inside the bird cage of a parrot. And I thought, what in the world? What the what? That's not art. But yeah, it is. It is. So your eyes determines what art is. And your eyes, I believe in America right now, that we have a responsibility. I'm kind of all over the place because I don't know how to answer, but I know how I want to answer. It starts with the kids. It starts with teaching the children about equality and that we're all equal. And when we do that, I believe that America will be healed in respecting all forms of art.
I don't think you could have said it any better than that, Clarissa.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing with us. And I know you got to go, but thank you so much for being here. All right. So, Ali, can art heal America?
Yeah, I think Clarissa said it. It's got to start with the kids, and you got to be intentional, got to be consistent and persistent, because there's all types of forms of music, and just like when we first came on, we was playing music from the day, as I call it, but it's music that you can relate to. But the music then made a difference because the words were powerful. The words were powerful. The music nowadays it's music. That's all it is. It's just music. It's just something to bop your head to or something to shake to. And Clarissa also said that wherever you go, there's music. When you're driving down the street, you can hear the tires. There's a beat there. You hear the horns. You hear people. You don't hear people. You're in the stores. You hear people. You don't hear. There's subliminal music. It's everywhere. It's when you're cooking. This sound is this way. This sound is that way. There's another sound. There's another birds outside. The air conditioner is going. So everything is happening. So all around us is music. And yes, music can heal the world. There's been several songs written about heal the world. Music can heal. It's all about music. Everywhere you go, going to a dinner, somebody sung. Going to a play, there's music outside before I go in. I'm listening to music in the car. So it's everywhere. And if we put the emphasis on healing, yes, it can heal the world. I think it just needs to be, this music is going to heal you. This is what this music is for. Every time you hear it, it's going to heal you. Yes. How simple can it be? Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Just spoken word. Your spoken word. With Sherry, when you guys speak, it's so powerful because we could take those words and put it into music, possibly some of it, but it's so powerful. And yes, it can heal the world. You can say, I got this great piece, and I'm listening to this piece and I'm like, wow, put it to music. There it is. Yes. It can heal
Thank you
the
so much, Ali. And we're gonna get back to that music thing. You know, that's something that we want to circle back to in just a second here. Kayla or Sherry, either of you want to tackle that question?
I definitely think that arts can heal the world. Just like Mr. Ali said, I was gonna take it to world, global, America's part of the world. It can bring awareness. It could change the way someone thinks about something. I definitely think that it can heal the world. Just with my students, we went through a anime workshop together, and some of them were like, I don't like anime. What's anime? I'm not doing that. You know, they didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
But when we got into it, I changed minds. You know, they went
Mm,
to go look for some of these shows. They went to go do their own research outside of what I was teaching them.
mm,
I got a second grader who draws like an eighth grader. Like, I mean, just that expansion. And I think that is where art is going to heal the world, is to bring awareness and to change people's minds about certain situations. Just like earlier when you were talking about the Renaissance era, where that was their goal, is that I am
mm,
going to make you know I'm human. I'm going to make
mm,
you know that I am capable of much more than what you could ever
mm.
put, those limitations that you've put on me. So yeah, art's gonna do it. Art's gonna change the world.
I hear you. You know, for the interest of time, Sherry, I'd like to ask you, you know, first of all, just condolences. I know your heart is heavy. I know you just lost someone very close to you. And I would just like for you to share the poem that you wrote as you're going through this grieving process, and tell us who Gary Taylor was to you.
Um, so Gary Taylor is my little big cousin. And that's said with all respect, because he's like in age, in years, in birth certificate. He is younger than me. But he always thought he was bigger. And then when he actually got taller, you couldn't argue with that. You just couldn't argue with it. So he just kind of took over. And that's who he was, a protector, an innovator, and a person with this incredible drive and push that he was just going to be successful. That's it. He wanted to leave a legacy and be successful at it, and enrich the community. Um, and that whole side of the family actually is like that in different ways, in very different ways. But inside of leaving the legacy, his heart was huge. So anybody who he encountered, you know, he wanted to see the same thing for them. So when he started doing training and stuff, he was really training people around him, helping people do their pro videos, get into college programs, you know, all that kind of stuff. And he just continued to expand off of that. So that is definitely who he was. And yes, very much a jokester, silly, just running around. There's not a moment that you're going to see him probably not dancing. Just big old man dancing, just crazy. So the poem I wrote to honor him is called Black Blue. And I was asked by his mother and his brother to do it. And they knew I would find the words, because it wasn't going to be a sad poem. That's not the healing. That's not honoring exactly who he was, even though his departure from this realm was tragic. So here is that poem. My cousin's so black. He had Africa tatted on his chest. So black he could code switch, talk real crazy 1 minute and be completely buttoned up the next. So black he had dreams that were still unfulfilled. So black that he didn't get all the support he was supposed to. So black that he write RGB beads. So black he equal parts hood, collegiate dissertation, and doctoral life lesson. My cousin's so black, he was blue. My cousin was Nipsey Hussle black, Tukey Black, Marcus Garvey Black, Pan-African Black, wouldn't fight the power because he were the power at Black. Yo, where your power at, Black? He arrogant Black. I ain't got time to be humble when we all gotta shine like Vaseline on patent leather shoes, Black. He vineyard Black. He know it all, Black. Let me give you this financial literacy, enrich this community right quick, Black. He make improvements on everything he involved in, Black. Ain't no wardrobe without me, Black. I make you look fly, Black. I stay fly, Black. So Black, I'm blue, Black. And ain't that beautiful? To be unapologetic, to not have been crushed by the world, to climb the crack of the concrete and bloom, being Black boy joy and blue, radiating energy. Have you ever seen the color blue smile, peeking under a brim, looking like majesty and light? This is the kind of blue that keeps you up at night, doesn't let your eyes rest, is a grind addict. Blue is the color of intelligence, the color of call out. Blue ain't always no baby. Blue grew up to be royal. Blue was smart, but blue don't comprehend lack of music, lack of love, lack of compassion. Blue don't comprehend excuses, failure, lack of discipline, lack of motivation, or lack in general. Blue been grinding all his life. Eric grinding all his life. Blue be joyful, even goofy while carrying melancholy, looking at the conditions of our people. Blue speaks truth. Blue operates in pure intention, is trustworthy, responsible, honest, loyal. Blue is stubborn. Blue say if your community ain't built as your body, keep working. Blue say if your body ain't as built as your brain, keep working. Blue say if your finances ain't built as any of this, keep working. Make a new business, leave an inheritance. Blue got crazy work ethic. Blue got game. Blue got knowledge. Blue say know your price. Blue say know your worth. Blue say know the difference between the two, know the timeline, know when to let it go. Keep those that rock with you solid. Always be ready. Let's get it popping. Let's go. Quit procrastinating. Be charitable. Recognize when you are being taken advantage of. Draw a line in the sand. Blue say help the fam, include the fam. Blue say don't be afraid to be cocky, be big, take up space, don't shrink for nobody. Blue say you keep staying in this rut because everything was taken from us, we'll take it back. Blue say you are just as much a part of the systemic oppression if you sit back. Stand up if you're ready to take it back. Blue say stand up if you're ready to take it back. Yo, say something if you're ready to take it back. Quit being silent, scared, poor, and pitiful. Hold each other accountable. Boo, be Black enough to know the fight in the march or at the pole, but in the soul, in the business that we create and in what we take. So take it back. Take 18th and Vine back. Take the hood back. Take the community back. Take your family back, take your health back. Quit saying the marathon continues if you ain't ready to run it back, if you ain't ready to be blue Black.
Sherry, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful poem. Thank you. To circle back to what Ali had been talking about in terms of the importance of music, so far as research is concerned, most agree that music is the most accessible and most researched medium of art in healing. And so one of the things that we would like to do is to talk about a self-care playlist. I'm gonna kick things off. My freshman year in high school was the most horrible year of my life. I have a disorder, it's called alopecia. And so it's just my hair, my antibodies think my hair cells are germ cells and they kill them. So I started going bald at 8 and was totally bald by the time I was 12. Now this is the era of the Jerry curl. Michael Jordan had not come on the scene yet. So being bald was not a cool thing. I was scrawny, not athletic, and got teased a lot. And so there was this song, ironically enough, by a folk singer named Janice Ian that really resonated with me. The song was called At 17. Now here's the thing. So this is my freshman year still. This song is like really speaking to me. And we get an assignment in our English class to bring your favorite song and the lyrics, and we would discuss them, you know, kind of similar to the exercise Ali does with his young people. And we were all so excited, and they were coming in with like the Daz Band and Cameo and the Bar-Kays and Switch and all of those bands that were popular back then. And I came with, I think Carmen has it set up to play a little bit of the song that I came with. And it's called At 17, and it's by Janice Ian.
Who married young and then retired. The Valentines I never knew. The Friday night charades of youth were spent on one more beautiful. At 17 I learned the truth. And those of us with ravaged faces, lacking in the social graces, desperately remained at home, inventing lovers on the phone, who called to say, come dance with me, and murmured vague obscenities. It isn't all it seems. It's 17.
Okay, Carmen, I think they get it. So if you can imagine a room full of 14-year-old Black kids who just listened to Switch and Can Function, and here I come with Janice Ian. But that song, it just meant so much to me. And she's so, even though it was coming from a woman's vantage point, that sense of loneliness, that sense that, you know, all the popular people are beautiful and their lives are all perfect, was just, it got me through. I think about a lot of the people who teased me back then, and when I run into them now and what they're up to, all of the ones who were popular, not to sound, you know, like a hater, but not all of them turned out to do great things. You know what I mean? Not all of them are living this wonderful life now. They peaked in high school. But anyway, having said that, Ramona and I were having a great time with, you know, thinking about like how Ali had mentioned, you know, the music that young people listen to now. I try not to be overly critical, but there is a different kind of resonance when you talk about like Earth, Wind and Fire and Curtis Mayfield and Donny Hathaway. And so Ramona has like Someday We'll All Be Free, Spirit, That's the Way of the World, Ecology by Marvin Gaye. So Ali, and then, well, no, let's end with Ali. We'll start with you, Sherry, and then Kayla. Like if you're creating a self-care playlist, what song or songs are going to be on there? And then anybody who's wanting to add to that in the chat, we'd love that. So add your songs in the chat for this self-care playlist. And then after that, we'll see if anybody else has questions. So Kayla, we'll start with you. What's going to be on your self-care playlist?
Ooh, ooh. Okay, because I got hundreds right now. But it's cool. I just real quick, you had just said how the music has changed, and I was just talking to somebody, and I was like, the music back in the day raised some good people. This music, like they're raising these kids to do what? You know what I mean? To go where? So I'm real East Coast. My dad is from New York. So I grew up on Mos Def. I grew up on Jay-Z. I grew up on all of that good stuff. So my playlist has a whole lot of Mos Def in it. Fear Not a Man, just taking back all of that good stuff. And then I got my mom who's real R&B, real Prince, real in that stage. So my playlist is full of all type of things. So definitely Mos Def, Fear Not a Man, Janae Akil, if we just want to get into this generation, she's on just making sure that you are aware. So Born Tired is on my playlist. I play that all the time right now. Also a song of hers that's a little off, it's called Triggered, but I love it because she really just puts down those feelings that you don't want to say. So that's that's a good one as well. So I'm gonna leave it there because that's a
Yeah,
yeah.
huge Most Def fan. His
Mhm.
song Mathematics, I
Yes,
think it
that's
would
on
be.
there. Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely. All
Mhm.
right. What about you, Sherry? What's on your self-care playlist?
So I'm eclectic. I like all different kinds of things. And it just depends on my mood. Today it could be when Sunday comes. Um, the next day it could be, okay, I'm listening to Mac Dre now, and this is what it is today. Definitely we have locals on there because, I have a theory about cooking and frying chicken that doesn't get seasoned properly unless you are playing some form of ratchetry. And if it's not happening, there is, room for error in the kitchen. And the kitchen is like a sanctuary to me. So that's some of that self-care. But then one of my favorite songs has always been You Got a Friend. And sometimes I just need to hear that in the playlist. And I will tell you also how I survived even my freshman year of high school was Mary J. Blige, My Life. And I continued to grow with her. Mary J is like just a staple. And at the same time, while all the other kids were playing really loud rap music, some days I would ride around with Earth, Wind, and Fire because my favorite song is Fantasy. Some days I just want to leave right now. And we're going to turn that up and I'm going to listen to the instrumentation and that beat and that thump. I swear they are the best band. But the other thing, like I told you, I'm eclectic. So I have a whole rock and roll playlist with 90s alt rock and different things like that. So I can listen to Green Day. I can listen to it just depends on what I feel like I need and I will go access it. I'll tell you right now, a song I can listen to on repeat is Just Angel. Angel's from here, from Kansas City. And she has a song called I've Been Having Dreams, which is the same title of her book. And that song is very soft, melodic. I've been thinking, seeking of a better place. It'll just happiness and serenity, I'll forever chase. It'll just keep on going like that. I've been having dreams, and I'm like, okay, I can relax now. And her voice and that melody and the song is like, I just need the soothe.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when you said You Got a Friend, that was James Taylor. Is that who you're talking about? You Got a Friend,
No,
or
Carly.
oh, Carly Simon. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, get me together. All right. And then Nirvana is still one of my favorite bands when you talk about 90s. Yes. In the dark now it's less dangerous. All right. Ali. Will, since you have been such a huge advocate for the music, what would be on your self-care playlist?
Wow, I tell you, I don't know if it's a specific song because I've got just an array of music and I'm very eclectic in my music. I'm kind of like Sherry because I've got kids and so I kind of balance off of them. And I have to know their music, like I have to know before when Justin Bieber first came out, they go, Miss Charlie, it's not Justin Bieber, it's Justin Bieber. I said, well, I found out who it is. How you know him? Well, you like him, don't you? So I have to learn all this music and listen to it. But when I'm in the car, it's everything. And most people don't know this, but my favorite is country and Western.
Get out.
I am
all right.
I am a true country and Western fan.
All right.
By trade, I am a gospel artist. I've performed and sung gospel almost all of my life. So I've got to have Aretha Franklin. I don't know the names of songs, but I've got to have some Aretha Franklin. I've got to have some Marvin Gaye. I've got to have some, now this is a strange one. I've got to have country and Western. I got to have Josh Groban, and I've got to have Andrea Bocelli. Oh my gosh. What, just sit there and listen to that music. You're talking about healing. Oh my gosh. Just sit and listen to the music and listen to it just penetrate through your entire body. It's amazing. Kenny Rogers, the list can go on. So the songs, I'm not real sure, but the names, these are people with smooth, amazing voices that can make a difference while you just sit, especially Andrea Bocelli, you know, a blind man who can just sing you to the heavens and back and just, wow, it's amazing. So that's where I am. I don't have a particular song, but the music is always great for me, all of it.
So I will admit there are a couple of Chris Stapleton songs that I like. I don't know if you know Chris Stapleton, but he's
Yes.
got this really kind of almost an Otis Redding in a
Yes, he
country
does.
context.
Yeah.
So I do like him, I will admit.
Okay.
So thank you all so much. I think Ramona might be fielding some questions from the chat. Just wanted to check in with her to see if we had any questions from the audience before we wrap up.
Actually, there was one question, but you guys answered it. I will share some of the playlist from others, if you don't mind. Let's see. The song Just Fine, Everything Must Change. Let's see here. Gospel, Jay-Z, Earth, Wind and Fire, Drake, Nipsey, J. Cole, Brianna Barbernet. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, I don't know her either.
You know, the only thing I would say, you know, is interesting, gospel and the arts, you know. I know that that's almost like an introduction, you know, into the arts in terms of the Black experience.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you want to say something to that, but learning, you know, intention behind the lyrics. And sometimes it's just the music that's soothing. So that's just a note that came to mind, and also imagination and critical thinking as it pertains to the arts and intention. So
I'll just really quickly say, you know, I am a follower of Christ, and I have been writing for a long time. I didn't come into a relationship with God until late in life, and it dramatically changed my poetry. It also gave me another way to commune with God. Obviously, I love, not obviously, but you know, I do really enjoy reading the Bible. A lot of people, I think, struggle in that area, but I really try to be very consistent in terms of, and that's part of my self-care regimen, is trying to, you know, stay in the word. But you know, obviously going to church and all of those things. But when I write, I'm really in communion with God and asking Him to fuel my imagination and to give me a stronger sense of critical thinking, so that I can make sure that the logic in my poems are consistent. So any of you want to speak to maybe just kind of like the spiritual aspects of your artistry, or I think the other point Ramona was trying to make, if you want to answer a different question, is how do the arts help, I think particularly young people, is what Ramona and I had discussed, with critical thinking and exercising their imaginations.
I can speak to the spiritual aspect. I am also a follower of Christ, and I am compelled to tell the truth in whatever form that truth comes out. Now, people may not always like it or feel that it is in order, but I can tell you my mouth is where it's supposed to be. With that comes responsibility. And I am not well if I have not been responsible to the message I'm supposed to put out there. It doesn't do me well. It feels like I've missed an opportunity or whatever the case may be. So, I've been taught, I've hit my head hard. I've gotten up to say poems and started flipping the words backwards like I didn't even write them myself. So yeah, the spiritual aspect, not only is it necessary, but it's intrinsic. It's not anything that can be, it can't be skipped or replaced. It has to be a part.
How about you, Kayla? And you can answer either of those questions, either the one, the critical thinking with young people in art, or, you know, the spiritual component.
Yeah, so the critical thinking component, definitely, just asking why did I draw this? Why am I gonna draw this? Why is this happening? Using your imagination in art. I do a lot of free draw with the kids like once a week, and it's like I need you to tell me how you feel. I need you to give me what's in your head. So yeah, both pieces go hand in
Yeah.
hand. Art. Mhm.
I really try, because I work with young people so much, and because I do see so many, I see both sides. I see some young people who are really struggling, and I'm really hoping they get it together. And I also see other young people who are just incredible and they inspire me. But I do think that when we look at the culture and we look at all the media, social media, all of the different outlets from Netflix to HBO, all of the video games, it seems to me, this is just an observation, I don't have the empirical evidence, but that the minds of young people, their imaginations, they don't exercise they don't have to. All of the work is being done for them. Ramona and I were talking, and back in the day, you could give me a rock, a stick, a box. We create some kind of game to play with that, and it would occupy our minds for hours. And you can't step over here because that's fire. And if an alligator gets you if you step, you know what I mean? Those kind of things. And it just seems to me that you don't really even hear kids outside playing as much as you used to. So I don't know. I think that when the arts give us this space to help them to exercise their imaginations and be in touch with their imaginations, that's a very valuable service. Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, I'm just going to say, serving I have a non-sectarian organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, but subliminally, and they know where I come from. I mean, they hear, I never say exactly what I want to say, but they know it, because
Yeah.
they're smart and they pick it up. They go, when people always say something's different about them, then they find out later, they say, oh, Michelle, you're a preacher? No.
Yeah.
But I can say yes and no, because yes, I'm preaching to you, but no. And so I'm in the critical thinking mind also. What do I say? How do I say it right? And what do I do? It's so much to do. It's a lot to do. So we have open dialogue all the time. We talk about stuff because they live in a real world. So the music has to affect them one way, but the things you say and the things you do, your integrity is going to be important along with your character. That's going to be important. So we're all over the place, but I want to make sure that they're right there, thinking right, saying the right things, doing the right things, making a difference.
Thank you so much, Ali. I want to say thank you to Clarissa Knighton, although she had to leave early. Kayla Hensley, thank you so much for being here with us today. Sherry Purpose Hall, and for sharing that wonderful poem. Thank you. Beta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha, Ramona, who just really did most of the heavy lifting to pull all of this together. And I'll turn it back over to Ramona now to make any closing comments. But thank you all. You were an amazing panel. Ali, thank you so much.
Well, this is, I didn't say this in the beginning, but really, when I sit down to create, my intention, I'm a spiritual and person and Christ, I'm a believer as well. And I always pray first that whatever that God use me in whatever it is that I'm trying to do, and that it be a blessing to someone in some way or of service. And so this program has been a blessing. And I know that it will be a blessing to someone else. So I'm so glad that we elected to also have it on Facebook Live, because I think that as it goes out and people tune in, that they will walk away with something. And you have been so transparent and generous with your thoughts, your emotions, what you really feel, and that is authentic, and people feel that. So thank you so much for participating with Bruce R. Watkins and Alpha Kappa Alpha Beta Omega chapter. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're wonderful. Sherry Purpose Hall, hello, girl, that poem was just, I don't even have the words. I say fire, but that's more than that. God is using you for sure. So let him keep using you. Ollie, what you do with those kids is transformational. They come in one way and they come out another, changed in a most positive way. And if no one has had the opportunity to go to their annual concert, you need to do that. And if you can't make it, go to their webpage and make a donation because it is well worth the money. And Kayla, what you do with kids and mothers that are particularly Black mothers giving birth with the mortality rate. And so what you're using your service for in that way is just special. And Glenn North, what can I say? Your words, I've often called him a preacher. Because he is just, again, he allows God to use him. And when he shares his gift, you know that it's special. It's perfectly done. And so I know that we will all go forth and continue to do what we do. Thank you again for sharing your gifts. And we're going to roll out with a little bit more music. So you can stay on for a couple of more minutes, but then we'll have to sign off and go on with our day. But thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate it.
All right, now, baby, little lady.